Hi, welcome back to Myst. I am Arlo Ptolemy, and I'm going to be playing through more of this. This is played on the Myst Masterpiece Edition through Steam, and my focus for this little gameplay part right here is to be on the second half of the puzzles required to enter the Selenitic Age. I can never say that right. This will be after the generator is powered, so if we go back this way into our stone building here, and all the way down the stairs, open up this door, and enter inside once the lights turn on. You can see that I have the power at 59, it matches here, which is the required power to open up the little spaceship thing back outside. So if I maneuver my way back there, go left from here, all the way up to this spaceship looking thing, the door now opens. Lovely. So that means it's working, so we can actually enter inside. Inside, if we go over here, we can see this kind of glass window looking thing. Doesn't do anything. The hand changes when you mouse over it, but click it all you like doesn't do anything. Oops, don't turn around yet. Underneath it, we have what appears to be 5 sliders and a lever. Moving one of the sliders creates a sound, kind of like a piano, and moving it up and down changes the pitch. You can do it for all of them. And you can move them in a random pattern all you like. That looks good. And this blue lever here, you could pull it all the way down, and it will play the sounds of the 5 adjusted sliders in order. That said, this pattern I've entered here doesn't do anything. So, what do we do? Let's look around some more. Behind us in this spaceship is, oh, what do you know? A piano. Actually, kind of like an organ. But it's, I guess, some kind of piano. You can play songs on it if you know any. I'm not going to, but you can. Just play around the piano all you like. It doesn't really do anything either. Not much we can do here right now. So let's go back outside. Back to the library that I was standing in front of. This building here. So if we enter inside, we come up to the bookshelf in the back. And as you can see, we've got the tons of books here. Most of them burnt. Ugh, can't read anything. Nothing here to read, really. A couple of them, though, have writing inside that you actually can read. See, most of the books that don't look like they're burnt. Each of these books talk about the respective ages, because there's 4 in this version of the game, and so there's 4 books here. The one we're focused on is this blue-looking one here on the middle shelf. Open up inside, and there's stuff to be read. Here we go. It has been a while since I have heard only silence, and I enjoy it greatly, I think. For some reason, I do not feel altogether welcome in this new world in which I have arrived. But how could I be unwelcome in an age with no inhabitants? It is, of course, only in my head. This world is very beautiful. But I think I have yet to ever write in a journal that an age I have linked to is horrid or disgusting. From the grassy hill where I am standing, I can see green fields below, along with a few scattered forests. A rather large lake looms some distance from where I am standing, yet the water's blue can be seen plainly from here. The air is fresh and the sky is sparkled with white clouds. It is absolutely breathtaking. And yet, that strange feeling again. Perhaps it is the hot breeze that continues to blow from the north. Hotter than I would have imagined. It almost singes my skin, and I feel quite uncomfortable when it comes. I will try to ignore it. Night has almost arrived, and the sunset is spectacular. Oranges and reds have settled above the western horizon. Though night has come, the horizon still glows red long past the sunset. Dark reds flow from the horizon and blend into the black sky. Again the feeling, and I'm beginning to believe it is not all in my mind. I must sleep now. I will need my strength to explore more tomorrow. I have had to return home due to an unpredictable natural occurrence more frightening than I have ever experienced. I was awakened by terrible shakings in the ground and explosions on all sides of me. Gigantic balls of fire were falling from the sky, and I immediately left in fear of my life. I must remember to bring a Myst linking book with me when I return, in case the one left there has been destroyed or damaged. I have returned to a different world than the one I have left only 3 months ago. It has been transformed into a barren desert land, with only gigantic craters scattered across the land to provide variety. Strangely enough, the small grassy hill where I had spent my first night remains exactly the way I found it. Apparently the falling meteors did not hit this area, leaving an oasis in the midst of this horrible desolation. The hot wind I remember has turned into a rather pleasant breeze, which is at least one improvement. I fear it is the only improvement. The magnificent lake I saw on my first visit is now completely dried up. However, another lake now exists and appears to be quite a bit larger. I assume one of the falling meteors created this lake due to its circular shape and the jutting rock that grows out of the center of the lake. The rest of this world seems like desert, although I will verify that statement with closer inspection. Though this world has little visual excitement to offer, it offers much to the ears. Sounds constantly flow through my ears, and I have found where a few of them originate. It seems, as Catherine says, I do find beauty in everything. Last night I was awakened by a horrible hissing. I was sweating, and the heat was so intense that I immediately dipped my head in a nearby stream to cool it down. The hot breezes had returned, along with a low roar from the ground. I walked a short distance to observe some red flames shooting up from the earth. Suddenly, the ground began to crack and a huge chasm opened. The chasm continued to grow until it was far too wide to cross. Then I can't read that word. Then the tumult subsided, leaving only a dull roar. I have decided, however, I can use the chasm to my advantage. Perhaps the heat from the chasm can be harnessed. And on this page, we have a picture of what, I guess, like a pole, or maybe a pipe. And there's a little propeller next to it to the left, and underneath it looks like some kind of rocks, maybe, or maybe like boiling lava, or fire, and some heat lines coming off of it. Underneath that, even as the chasm has ripped into the surface of this world, it has opened up a whole new world to explore. Although uncomfortably hot, I found it possible to reach a cave in the chasm that had been created, and have now explored deep into the crust of this planet. I have found a vast underground cave system that will take many years to map and explore. I will also look for a safer way to reach the underground than through the chasm wall. That does kind of seem dangerous. This age seems to change on its own, so I feel I should leave again and see if things are different when I return. It is also important that I check on Cirrus and Aknar, and make sure everything is going along well. When I return, I also hope to bring back some tools I will need for my plans to explore the underground. The abundance of raw materials here is beginning to amaze me. I have returned with some of the complex tools I knew I would be needing. I assumed I would have had to return for more basic materials. However, it seems though I will be able to find everything I need here. Of course, iron is abundant, but I have also found titanium occurring naturally. I am all the more excited to begin work. Everything is set, and I look forward to tomorrow. My raw materials all here. I think I'll be able to have most of the additions to this age completed within 1 year. I also so love working with my hands, whether writing or building. As you can see here on this page, it seems like the text is kind of like splotched and disappearing, fading away, whatever. There's a lot of blank space where I can only assume text was. And this continues on for a few pages. Like on this page, you can see some text and it says, "Well, and I have decided." Underneath that, what is kind of faded in, but you can kind of see what appears to be like a wheel that turns. It looks like it turns clockwise according to the arrows on the middle round part of it. And there's bars on the side, I guess. On the page next to it is what appears to be a satellite dish. The text you can read underneath it says, 3 meters is not enough support for, and then you can't read the rest of it. On the next page, the only words you can make out are amazingly strong, kind of in the middle of the page. The one next to that is a picture of what seems to be the little spaceship that we entered in a moment ago. The one with the piano. On the page after that, the text that can be read, to be one of my most prized inventions. I am extreme. I'm supposing that says like I am extremely whatever. I'm not sure. Can't read it. Page after that, I would never have imagined it come together, and then fades out again. Woo! This page has I doubt, and the one next to it says could possibly work with 14 instead of, also faded away. This whole section is like really faded away. On this page it says, completely fatigued. I am so happy to have then big fade with RO at the bottom. And then the text is back. You can actually read all this now properly. I am leaving today in order to bring back Cirrus and Aknar. I have left them alone in Channelwood. I believe they will enjoy all there is to see here. The age seems to have stabilized. I believe the meteor set off a period of volcanic activity by piercing into the shallow crust, but the tremors have become few. I have just noticed that a large amount of this journal has curiously vanished from the pages on which I wrote over the last 18 months. Fortunately, I have copied many of my construction notes in another journal. I do not understand the many mysteries of this world, but I trust I will discover logical answers to my questions. I have a feeling that many of my questions can be answered in another age to which I hope to travel to soon. But for now, I must simply accept this world's mysteries and take pride in my accomplishments. On the next page here, we can see what appears to be a piano, and 5 numbers, 5, 1, 4, 2, 3, that point to several different notes on the piano. Going in order from 1 to 5, starting at 1, it's C, the lower one, I suppose, out of all the ones here. 2 is also a C, it's a little higher up. 3 is a D sharp, right above the number 2. 4 is an F, and 5, the lowest one here, is a B flat. So I'm going to write these down, and let's remember them, what they are, because it's probably important to that piano we saw earlier in the little spaceship looking thing. And the last 2 pages of this book is what appears to be like an island, like a rocky island at that. This is probably the age that we was describing from before. So that's all for this book. Let's put it back. And let's go back to that spaceship and try out that piano thing we found. Maneuver my way back there and across this dock bridge thing and open the door. Yes. Enter inside. Turn on to the piano. So let's enter in those little notes we had from earlier. Starting from 1, which is the lower C. And then 2, the higher one. 3, the D sharp, which I believe is this note. 4, which is an F. And 5, which is a B flat. Now, I entered all those in, but nothing really happened. But if you recall with the sliders from before, each of them had kind of their own pitch and noise that they made. And it sounds awfully similar to what that piano is making. So what if we go back to the piano real quick and start with 1, the lower C. Let's try to remember this sound. And enter it in on the switch sliders over here. Is that it? I think that's it. That sounds about right. Yep, that's about the same. So let's enter in all 5 of these into that slider switch thing. 2 was the higher C, or I guess the middle C, since there's actually a higher C way up here. That's loud. So let's do the middle C instead. This one. Go over to the levers. I think that was it. Oop. Yep, sounds like the lever I moved. The D sharp, number 3. A little higher than the C before it. That sounds about right. 4 is the F, the one before the little 3 bullets here. Enter that one as well. Looks like that's it. And the last one, number 5, was the B flat, which is way over here. Let's keep that note in mind. So I believe we've entered all of the notes in correctly here. We get this funny looking pattern here, which is kind of like a mountain, almost. So let's see if this worked, if this does anything. So I pulled the lever and it played through the 5 sounds, and it looks like it worked because on the little screen that was blank earlier, a Myst leaking book has appeared. So let's click on it. And it does that little transition flyby thing of the age. You can see here it flies around all the rocky terrain and strange things to be seen. There's a vase there, as we can see in this flyby, something that I guess is like a forest. That's some funny looking trees. Get a lot of static. And we are now being teleported. We're back in the spaceship, I suppose, but things don't seem quite right. The screen's blank again. The sliders are gone. You can't even, there's nothing to click on. The lever doesn't do anything. Turning around. Piano cannot be interacted with. But we can step outside to find we are not in the same place we originally were. If we go down this bridge a little bit, we can find that we are now in the Selenitic Age.